everybody. In the very nature of cosplay, it is 2 days before the convention, and I'm starting construction on my cosplay. So let's get to this. You can see kind of what I'm doing here is I have my plans. My leather has already been cut out. Like I'm picking up where I left off on my cosplay series. Like, and I think the last time I did a video about this cosplay was like back in November. So it's been a pretty busy winter. I kind of got sidetracked, really derailed with like house stuff and kind of, you know, some other things over the winter, but now I'm right back on track, and I'm hoping to start my first competitive cosplay season with Mid-South Con in Memphis that we leave for, like right now it is like 11 o'clock on Tuesday evening. We leave Thursday morning. So let's do this. And also I want a huge shout out to Patricia. I don't know if you can see, but there's this camera set up right there that most of the footage here is going to be taken on. It takes a much tighter zoom than what the phone is even capable of. So like I have to put it like on the other side of the room just to be able to talk to it the way that I comfortably talk to the phone. So I'm still using the phone for capturing my face, but I'm going to be using this camera over here. Thank you so much. I don't know if you know how much I think this is going to change things for me, but thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I can't wait to get started on the piece that you sent for trade. So with that said, let's get started. So here you can see we have the plans of what I've drawn up. I have the legs and feet completed. The belt is completed. The bracers are completed. And now I have the leather cut out for the corset. I have never done an overbust style like this one here. And I think just to have it ready for Mid-South Con, I'm going to keep it at an underbust and then come back and add on the cups later. And kind of just see how that goes. So, and I'm not going to worry about the shoulders or anything else right now. It's just that the corset that I did wear with it is up for sale. The one that I wore in Branson. And so with that in mind, I am going to go ahead and make myself my own corset. So I think, do I have some other plans in here of, yeah, that was the bracer that got finished. Okay, so here's the corset design. And you can see I can do the, like, the main part of the corset without the cups added on necessarily just yet. So if that makes sense to you guys. So I'm going to set that off to the side. These were the pieces that I had cut out for the chest piece. So I am going to set these aside as well. And this is the front panel. It's a little scratched up, but I'm going to be doing a lot of tooling on it. And I have the template. This is the same template that I used on the greave. And so I'm going to see if this will fit on the corset, which it looks like it will. That's pretty cool. So I'm actually going to dampen this a bit. I think I may want to redraw this onto, like, just to make absolutely perfectly certain that I want this as symmetrical and perfect as possible. So here I have a nice big roll of freezer paper. I I really like using freezer paper because it has this waxy side, as well as a papery side that I can draw comfortably on the papery side, but the waxy side helps repel the moisture and stuff. So it makes my templates last longer, I think. Well, and it also keeps the paper from sticking to the leather when the leather's wet. So I'm going to go ahead and, just for the sake of saving as much paper as I can, let me find a nice mechanical pencil here, and I'm just going to trace the outer edge. Okay, and I'm going to turn this. But yeah, there's definitely a kind of healthy sense of panic about getting this costume done. It does really help that I already have the legs and everything completed. But still just a little panicked, you know, about, because I'm also trying to get a bunch of inventory done as well. And then I had my Master Gardener class this evening, which was like 3 hours. I'm really glad that I did go, but I tell you what, guys, I was sorely tempted to not go, because we're allowed to miss up to 3 classes, but I'm already going to be missing 1 class this Thursday, and in hindsight, I'm really glad that I just went. It gave my hands a break to, and an opportunity to recover from all the leatherworking I had done earlier in the day. As well as, okay, now this is all still perfectly good, so I'm going to set it off to the side. I don't know if you can see this like mess growing around me. There's the line. But yeah, it gave my hands a chance to have a break. I learned a lot. I learned so much at class today. But I'm definitely feeling the crunch. Like, I haven't gone to yoga at all this week, and normally I go like 3 days a week to my yoga class. Here we are with a trash bin, so you guys, can still see what's going on over there. I think I'm gonna like this 2 camera setup, because this way I can still talk to you guys, but you can still see primarily what's going on with my hands. I think I'm gonna have it in the editing with my face down like in the corner. Is it still recording? Yeah. Okay. So exciting. So now you can see here what we have going on, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to center it just like this. It helps if I had a slightly larger work surface, but this is what I've got, so this is what I've got. And I'm actually going to fold this in half just to make sure it's as nice and symmetrical as I can get it. I'm not doing a fern crease, just a light one. And I'm actually just going to trace down the middle. There's my pencil. And I also want to make sure that it's centered up vertically as well. So equidistant from this bottom point as it is from this top point. I mean, granted, this isn't going to be perfectly symmetrical, because by the very nature of knotwork, like, some knots travel over while some knots travel under. And there's not a whole lot I can do about that, but I think this will be just fine. And right now I'm just doing the rough line art. I'm going to come through and refine it a little further. Now I do want to bring all of these points to make sure that the crosses are perfectly lined up with the center mark because I think that'll help give the illusion of a more symmetrical piece. My goal is to get all of the tooling done on this corset tonight, because tomorrow I'm going to be going through and doing, like, dyeing everything. That way it has plenty of time to dry before the convention. And I'm not going to put the any of the leather into the storage bins to take to the convention, if only because I don't want to risk at all any kind of dampness whenever somebody buys them. Okay, and so that's the knotwork for the front of sorry, I'm still trying to get used to this 2 camera setup, so I don't know which one to look at. I mean, obviously this one, I guess, but yeah, that's the texture. So now I can take this, and this is why I always save these templates, is because you never know when I'll be able to use this design again. And it also helps me to know perfectly. I used the antique tan gel, and I used the Briar Brown and Briar Brown. And so by having written on there, and also for the little buckles and the buckle tab leather pieces, again, I have it marked in for Briar Brown. So now, 5 months later, I'm able to come through and know exactly what it was that I did on the other pieces. Sorry for all the crinkling. Okay, so there's that. So now I'll be better able to come through this pencil lead is broken off. Sorry, it's so short that it won't feed out towards the tip. There we go. So like at points like right here, that narrowed down way more than I actually wanted it to. So I'm gonna I'm just going to smooth out some of these lines. And like over here, I want a really nice healthy curve on these little points here. And anytime that you're doing knotwork, you really want to make sure that the lines line up. Like you don't want this line coming here and that line coming there. See, like that just doesn't work out very well. And this is something that I want these to be symmetrical. So I'm going to come, oops, there we see, it's not quite symmetrical over here on the side. So I'm actually going to come through and trace where this one is. And hopefully the graphite that's on this side, yep, will have transferred over to on this side. And since one side was a little lower than the other, I'll be able to come through. But now we run into a whole slew of problems. Dig out an eraser. In that these lines aren't lining up. And so what we'll do from there then is I'm going to come to a halfway point. Yeah, it was. And so don't ever be afraid to modify a design, like to just make it as perfect as you want it to be. And so now I can just come through and readjust that still. I want that curve to be very natural. Get everything nice and lined up. And so now the shoulders are symmetrical, and we can kind of keep it symmetrical from there. another point where I kind of want it to be symmetrical. And this is an opportunity as well, being pretty apple framed. Like, I do not have as much of a hourglass figure as what I would like, and so you can use the lines and patterning on the front of the corset to give more of that kind of tapering effect. Now, I don't want to take up like all the space with this pattern, but I do want it to be pretty nice. And so this line here is thicker than these lines here, and I think that's perfectly okay. It'll give a little bit of contrast. It'll be, I mean, it's subtle, but it's there and it's nice. I don't like how this one got so thin right there, whenever it's obviously so much thicker on the other side. So I'm fleshing that out. Now this is probably going to end up being a much longer video, but again, it's I think short, quick, like intro videos are pretty common now. I want to give you guys something hopefully meatier with more substance, at least is the goal. So that if you do want to tackle this, you'll have all of the tools and all of the knowledge at your disposal of exactly how I did it, without leaving out any crucial details. Okay. So there we are. That's it. So that's going to be the design for on the front of my corset. Now, I don't know if I want any knotwork on the side panels. I think I may be able to benefit from something going on, because I mean, all of them have already been marked. You can see here, all of them have been marked for the edge beveling. So now you can see here, these are the sides. Yeah, okay. So this is going to be the whole front panel of my corset. I think it'll be perfectly fine without the knotwork, because looking at it, there's going to be a whole big pattern here. There's going to be rivets down the sides, because I mean, you have to consider like a good, like almost at least a ½ inch on each side is taken up by the riveting, and then there's going to be the tooling and the texturing coming in, and so I don't want there to be an over busyness, because these are going to be wrapped pretty much around on my sides anyhow, so my arms are going to be covering a lot of it up, and so to make the most impact as I can make, I don't think I'm going to. Now though, to consider, do I do the rune work on the edges, because that is very time consuming, but it makes such a nice effect. Hey Randy, can you come look at this with me for a sec?
Yeah.
Okay. When faced with a problem, I always consult my Randy. Okay, so this is the front panel of my corset. I'm not going to be having the side lacing on the 2 points.
Are you going to have them layered like that?
Yes, this is exactly with the same rivet set up.
Is that going to bend well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, and I am debating about having the lacing here on the sides just to make it that much more adjustable.
This is your corset, though.
This is
you. So.
But.
This is an opportunity to show off what you can do.
That's fair. But also it's like I worry that if as summer sets in, I start losing weight again, I don't want to have to remake this corset.
I understand that. In which case, can't you just tie it tighter in the back?
Yeah, to a certain point. You think I should just make it solid all the way around?
I think so.
Okay, that's what I'll do. Now, should I, on the side pieces here, since they'll be pretty much on the sides and in shadow, I'm not going to do the rune edging on these ones.
Sure.
Should I do the rune edging in the front?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. My main hang up is, like you can see here, there's going to be rivets laying here and here, so I think that's going to cover up a lot of the rune work.
Okay, so don't do rune work on the side.
And then up at the top, that's where I'm attaching the overbust cups.
Okay,
and
don't do the rune work on the top either.
But then, so the only spot then would be the rune work down at the bottom, which I think would be covered with the belt anyways.
Okay.
So no rune work?
If you do, extend it to the side panels as well. Even though they're most likely going to be covered up.
I think I'll be able to go back in later to do rune work.
Yeah.
If it looks like it's something that... I'm afraid I don't want to make it so busy.
Set your rivets first
and then kind of go from there. Excellent. Thank you. That was very helpful. He's so nice. I love him, you guys. Like, so much. Like, he's like my second brain. My second, more organized brain. So what I'm doing here now is I have this bottle of water and I'm just coming through and spraying. You can kind of see how that's taking the water. I have to say I'm loving this camera, you guys. Oh my god. Like, it catches all the detail. It's like it's doing its job. But I'm really letting this soak in. And so you can see how that's no longer taking in any more liquid. And I'm going to come through and I'm going to start soaking the sides. They don't need it as much. And it looks like I've already gone through and just like shaved down the edges and shaped the sides and everything of this piece. So I'm just getting some moisture in there where I'm going to be tooling so it can start soaking in, because I want all of those fibers all the way through to be nice and damp. I don't want them to be so wet and soggy that they become like muddy. But yeah, I'm so excited. This will be the first corset that I've actually made for myself personally. Like, all of the other ones I've made to like be very versatile and like fit whoever wants to buy them, so they have all of those adjustment points and stuff. But this is my first one that it's like I measured myself. I'm making it for myself. Like, so exciting. Okay, as you can see, it's nice and soaked in. There's no water pooling on the surface. There's a little bit soaked through to the back. I'm going to position this template up with my leather. I'm making sure that the point here is lined up with the point there, because the last thing you want is for it to be just a little off center. And I'm going to go through with, this is a ballpoint stylus tool. Oh my god, I love this camera. Oh my god. Like, oh my god, it's changing my life, y'all. And I'm just going through and lightly tracing over the lines of this design. Now also, the leather that I'm using for the front of my corset here is a thick, like almost centimeter thick saddle skirting. So this is really going to hold up. It doesn't need any kind of boning or anything to support it. Keeping my hand on it, I can lift and look underneath and see which lines I have traced already. I just want to make sure that I'm not shifting the design around. And if I do any mess ups or want any final modifications after this point, I can go through and make them before cutting with the swivel knife. But I usually try to have this template done up as perfectly as I can get it. I'm really glad I decided to go through and make this little swirly decorative bit off of each side symmetrical. I think that'll really lend itself to the final piece. Okay, so there we are. All the line work is on there. It looks so cool, you guys. In this, you can kind of see the etching on the back. So I'm going to set that off aside. And now we have our swivel knife. This one has a nice, bold, wide tip. It makes a really nice, deep cut. And it has a really nice, swivelly handle. And then I'm actually going to be stropping it right here. I don't think I'm going to move my camera to show you, but I've got a little piece of leather with some jeweler's rouge on it. I'm just sharpening and shining up my knife. And I'm going to go through, you can see I've already used my wing divider to do the lines there on the edging. Done. Oh my god. Oh my god. Also, something that's an exception on this corset compared to my other ones is usually I have the swing clasps down the center, which makes it a lot easier to get in and out of. But with this corset, I'm actually going to get like pieced into it. So I kind of want to do buckles down the sides instead of the corset lacing. That way I at least have an option over there on the side to get in and out of it really quick instead of having to like completely unlace it to get out. Okay. Well, while I'm cutting, I'm going to keep cutting. And I'm going to do, I've got my other pieces here that I sprayed a bit. There's the travel creamers.
You're not going to have any for tomorrow.
Oh no, well, I'll have the travel creamers. Okay, now with these right here, this side's actually going to be hidden underneath the next layer, so I'm not going to bother to do the border over here because I've done it in the past on other corsets and it just gets hidden. And it's with the crunch kind of being on time-wise. Sorry, I was focusing on cutting, completely lost my train of thought. But considering time-wise, if I save myself that extra like 10 minutes per panel, this is a 12-panel corset. That's gonna save me a lot of time. we are. So all the cutting's done, and now I get to start the uber fun part, which is actually uber fun, just pretty time consuming, of tooling. So what we're going to be doing from here is to get it to match perfectly the other costume, the other parts of the costume. These are the these are the two tools that I'm going to be using. I have a textured backgrounder and a textured beveler foot. So I guess just pick up the last piece that I did, recase it, and then pick up this laptop. So I'm going to be going through with my beveler first. This takes the tooling so wonderfully, you guys. And so you can see that's the effect that the beveling has. It just gives a really nice kind of contrast, and it has this great three-dimensional effect. Now this effect may be lost up on stage to the audience, but whenever I'm going in for the craftsmanship portion where the judges are like looking, this is really where those details, the magic that happens in the details is going to shine through and hopefully get me those extra points that I can go home hopefully placing. Like, if I could place, that would be excellent. Not gonna lie, that would make my day. So now I'm coming through with this backgrounder and just coming in at a slight angle on top of where I beveled. And you can kind of see here how that's giving a really nice fade effect. Is that catching it? The light in here is so bright. It's awkward lighting at night. But yeah, and so this is going to catch more of the antique gel that I'll be putting on over this piece. Oh my god, I'm suddenly like very nervous about participating in the costume contest. Like, I was pretty zenned out like 2 minutes ago, and then boom, all of a sudden, I'm like, ah. I haven't competed, in a costume contest since, Geek Galaxy in Evansville, Indiana. Shortly after Guardians of the Galaxy came out, and what's-his-face, the Kree guy, there was a cosplayer there who had looked like he came directly out of the movie. Hey, Randy. In Guardians of the Galaxy, what was the name of the blue dude who was a bad guy? Will you give it a Google? Because it feels like it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't for the life of me actually remember. I'm friends with the guy who cosplayed him on Facebook, but I can't remember the name of the cosplay. But oh my gosh, though, it was legit awesome, you guys. I think he took home second, but I placed first at that one, and I really thought he was gonna get it. Yeah, that was the last time I participated in a costume contest, because I didn't know how the convention would feel about a vendor. Oh, I haven't done the beveling yet. Participating in the costume contest, but no, it's not that I'm getting. Is it Ronan? Ronan?
Ronan the Destroyer.
Ronan the Destroyer. Can you Google it just to make absolute certain?
Pretty sure it's Ronan the Destroyer.
If I'm not right, correct me, but I think it's Ronan the Destroyer. Because, I don't know, I feel uncertain about it because of the Wandering Ronan,
I typed in blue guy from Guardians of the Galaxy, and it popped up Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so, there you go.
Well, was it Ronan the Destroyer, or was that, who is the blue guy who was on the good guy team?
That's Drax.
Drax the Destroyer?
No, it's not the Destroyer, he's just Drax.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I want to watch that movie again.
Oh, you got it.
Do we?
Huh?
We do?
Yeah, you gave me crap for it, because as soon as we bought it, I watched it 3 times in a row.
Oh, yeah. And it does make such a difference to do this beveled, this angled beveler first. Because if you just do the backgrounding tool, it's like it's missing something. But yeah, to go back to what I was talking about, so I contacted the con chair and I was like, hey, I'm a vendor. I would like to participate in your costume contest. Is that okay? And he was like, yeah. And so I was like, okay. And so I did, and it was really cool. I was so nervous, I like ran back to the booth. But it's not that we're getting out of vending, because we are most definitely still going to be vending at one convention a month. Is I think all we can currently manage. Used to, we did almost 30 conventions a year. And we can no longer keep up with production. It was getting to where, like, we'll be home for like 2 days in between shows. And so I wasn't able to create like any art pieces. We were working ourselves to the bone just to keep up with sales. I mean, which, don't get me wrong, it's really nice to have that many sales, but and up until 2016, it was exactly what we wanted. We were thriving under that kind of constant pressure and constant work and constant expansion and growth and challenge. But now I feel like I'm really enjoy teaching y'all and doing tutorials and stuff. And I feel like I've kind of worked up my artisan skills a bit. I want an opportunity to really challenge myself as an artist and as a creator. And to do that, I just need more time. Like, I can't keep a fully stocked booth of, you know, the way we were and still get to make stuff like this. So fortunately, everything's kind of balancing out, and we want to start applying for conventions as guests where I can get in and teach costume design costume design, chainmail, wire wrapping, possibly about just YouTube, like Q&A sessions if people have questions, like just to get to interact with y'all in person. So if anybody watching this has a convention in their area that you would like us to come to, let your convention know. Be like, hey, this lady does stuff. You should have them to the con, you know, just to, because all of the tools and materials for the classes are free, courtesy of our Patreon. And I think that's something that's really great. I mean, if you pay to get into a convention, I feel like you should get a lot more than just the dealer's room and some like meeting the guests and stuff. If you can come and like build your skills and your artisan like craftsmanship and like really, you know, anything that you make in the class, you physically get to take home with you, as well as the knowledge that you've gained. So yeah, if I were going to a convention, I know I always like going to the like the leatherworking panels and going and seeing how people like do and make things, whether it's animation or their comic books or their art. Is just, it's a really cool way to get to meet the creators, you know. And also, it's, I feel like right now, like even though we are developing quite the following on YouTube and on Facebook and on Patreon and all kinds of stuff, like I still, in the cosplay community, I'm not really anybody. Like, I'm not a Yaya Han, I'm not a Jessica Negri, I'm not, you know, there's countless talented, fantastic cosplayers out there who are award winning, and I feel like that's the first step that I want to take in marketing myself to conventions, to have me in as a guest. Is it's like, I'm not just some pretty girl in a costume, or some, you know, I'm not just a person in a costume. I'm here to, I want to contribute to the convention as well. And I'm not saying that, you know, a lot of these other folks are just people in a costume. I mean, they make their own builds and everything, but it's, I feel like I have something to offer as well. So Hey everybody. So I have finished the tooling. It has been, I think, an hour and a half of constant tooling. I got up and went to the restroom like once, I think. But I'm pretty excited about this, you guys. Now, I do think I'm going to go ahead and stain the pieces with the antique gel. That way it can sit overnight to dry before putting the pearlescent layer on. Here I have some freezer paper. Let me go ahead and set that down. Here I have some gloves. I'm going to go ahead and get those on. And y'all, I am tired. But fortunately, in my experience, there's not a whole lot of ways that I can mess up too terribly bad with the antique gel. I used tan last time. So let's see if I can't find, there's a bottle of mahogany. Tan. So there's that. I'm gonna get my roll of paper towels. I don't imagine I'll use up this whole roll tonight. But I am going to prep some squares for like kind of wiping down the antique gel. Just because I know I'm going to have my hands all kinds of gunky and I'm going to want them. So those are nice and prepped. Right over yonder. Put that back where I got it. Okay. Shaking the pan up nicely. Getting a very generous glob going. One of the key ways to mess this up is to spill my bottle. So I'm going to try my best to keep from doing that. And I'm going to want to make sure to get into all the nooks and crannies on this. So if you're working on a project, don't be skimpy with the antique gel. Like, that is not where you want to cut corners. There we go. And this is going to help pull and draw out all of these little details that we've put in here. I just have some here in my hand and I just scrape it off onto the edge and then draw it all along. And also kind of get in between the fingers. Just trying to use every little bit of this antique gel. Okay, so here we now take a piece of tissue, spritz it a few times, and start buffing just like this. And this removes some of that gel and really, oh my gosh, that came out so good, you guys. I'm so pleased with this. You can see I missed a little spot right there, so I'm just going to scoop up some of that gel and get that down into that nook and cranny. I'm slicking it down on the edges as well. And I want to make absolutely positively certain that I'm not leaving any goopy fingerprints behind. So you can really see here then how this is brightening it up. Really getting that contrast going between the smooth surface and the texturing from the tooling. And I'm going to set this off to the side to dry for tomorrow. And now we get to do that same thing a bunch more times on all of these pieces. And I do hope that I have enough of the tan antique gel. I do hope. Again, I'm not so worried about finishing this edge as I am about finishing the ones that are going to be on the top. I really wish I could get my hands on some gloves that actually fit me. And also keep in mind, if I don't touch up all of these edges perfectly, I am going to be going back through later on with the briar brown or timber brown, I can't remember, I have it written down, to help darken down the edges just a little bit more and provide another layer of contrast. I try to get as much use out of a paper towel as possible. Super duper pleased, you guys, with how just the way these are taking the stain is phenomenal. And also, I'm trying to be pretty careful about not stacking the stained pieces on top of each other. I want them to be nice and free and open to dry nicely. So, oops, I think what I'm going to do is actually, I've got some drawers over here. But if I can, I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to stack them to let the air circulate really nicely. You can kind of see over here, I'm stacking, like I'm pulling the drawers out a bit and stacking the the panels into the drawers. That way air will be able to circulate, they'll stay nice, and they won't like have sticking marks from where they're sticking on top of each other. Hey everybody, so I'm back here today. It's the next morning, and I'm so pleased with how this has come out. Like, that contrast is perfect. Gotta love these antique gels. So what I'm doing today now is I'm coming through with the EcoFlow Professional Water Stain in just pearl. Oh, and I busted a nail. Great. And I'm just giving myself some here in my paint tray. And I have a round-tipped paintbrush. And I'm actually going to come through and practice in some of the other sides. And this is what I was afraid of. Like, you can kind of see here, I hadn't cleaned my brush thoroughly from the last time I had used it, because I'm really bad about that. So I'm really glad I didn't just dip and start painting, because it would have given me some seriously red tinges. So let me see if I can find, got a little dish here. I'm gonna set that down. I'm gonna rinse the brush out. But in the past, whenever I have gone over a piece with the with the pearlescent like this, I didn't wait for it to dry overnight. And I got a good bit of kind of like a muddying of the antique gel into the pearl, if that makes sense. Okay, so getting as much of that red out as I can. That looks much better. I'm gonna set that to get dumped out later. Okay, so now, and I also want to make sure that I'm not getting a bunch like on the sides either, if that makes sense. Like, I want the border left unpearled. I'm just going over it very lightly. I'm going to try to get as much of the brush strokes out as possible, so I'm coming through and buffing it with a paper towel. And you can see there's still quite a bit of that muddying, but not nearly as much as there has been in the past. And so now I'm just coming through, doing a second layer to try to even out any and all of those brush strokes. I would love to be able to expand into airbrushing technology, because I feel like that would be fantastic. So you can kind of see here the way that that adds a really cool sheen. It's brown from one perspective, pearly white from another. Very nice and reflective. But if I could put tape down on the border here and then airbrush this, oh my gosh, I think that would change my life. Okay, so now we're just going to come through, and I'm applying it quite liberally in these open areas, and then kind of piecing it from there into the sides, if that makes sense. Got some fur, there we go. And also, this is another step where it's like I give it plenty of time to dry before coming through and doing any kind of buffing or anything like that, because I really don't want any of the pearlescent pigment from this to get onto the edging or onto the knotwork. And you can see right here, I totally messed up. Well, I didn't do the texturing, and this gives a really cool, like, Harvey Two-Face effect, like before and after the pearlescent. So I missed right there, so what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go back through with the tool, the texturing backgrounder, and I am going to use some of this antique gel that we have right over here. I'm going to be sure to shake it up. And I'm just going to pull on one of these gloves. So it's, even though, you know, I wanted to have all of it dry and perfect yesterday, there's no reason why I can't come through. I've just got some on my fingertip. And just kind of fill that in. Use this paper towel and wipe off the excess. So now once that dries, you'll never be able to tell that I didn't do it in time with the other ones. So I am going to wait for that to kind of dry the rest of the way before coming through and touching up with the pearl. So I'm going to revisit this part in the very, very last bit. Okay, so just coming through. And I also experimented with mixing the pearl with the antique gel, and I didn't really like that effect. It muddied it up so much that it was like a reflective brown instead of having this nice kind of pearly color. But again, as usual, if you want to experiment with something, don't take my word for it. You go ahead and try it out for yourself. I recommend doing it on like a test or scrap piece of leather. That way, you know, you don't want to be experimenting on your final like masterpiece, you know. But you might get different results than I did. You may like it better. Okay. So I have finished applying the pearl to all the pieces, and I'm actually going to go through and use up just a little bit that's left in my inkwell or paint well to brighten up this front panel just a little more. Kind of staying away from the edges a bit and mostly just wanting to fill in and brighten up these larger areas where it's going to provide a lot more contrast and like a bold statement, because I really want this to look like wicked cool and shimmery and shifty and otherworldly from the stage. So with that in mind, contrast is going to be a really good thing. Okay, so there's that. Oh gosh, you guys, that's so pretty. And my battery is about to die, so I'm going to let you guys go, and I will see y'all around. Hey guys, so I'm back, and you can kind of see what I'm doing here. This is one of the greaves that goes on my legs, and so you can see the kind of rune edging that we have here. We have our pearl finish, and then I had gone through with a briar brown and darkened, and I think that added a nice contrast along the edging, but I think I want something a little brighter going on the knotwork to really brighten up this piece and make it just pop even more, you know? So what I think I'm gonna do, gosh, and the fur on this took like a million years, but I absolutely love it. What I think I'm going to do is come through and go over this center knotwork with, whenever I painted these cabochons, to get this kind of nice, kind of blue with that kind of opalescent flash in it. I used these two colors of nail polish. I used this, you know, same way I paint my dragon eyes. So I do whatever color is going to be on the front first, which was this one. And then I backed it with this color. And this is the closest color I have in acrylics, because I don't have quite enough nail polish to go through. And I honestly think the acrylics get a better penetration anyhow. But before doing this on a final piece, I'm going to rummage through and see if I don't have some scrap leather that I could test this on. And I do. Thank goodness, it's a pretty close to the same color. I'm gonna shake up my acrylics. And so what I'm just real quick testing out the way that the blue looks. It's a nice thick acrylic too, I really like that. And now I'm going to go through on top of it, even with it still wet like this. I think it'll be okay. But I'm going to go through and it's definitely going to give us a little bit of gloss. Oh, it adds like a fiery pink too. Okay. Hey, Randy. So I did a test bit. Do you see how that looks? That's what I'm thinking about doing on...
Yeah.
But I feel like if I do it on the corset, I'm going to have to do it on the greaves, and I'm going to have to do it on the knotwork on the belt.
Yeah.
Do you think that'll be okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, that looks real cool, you guys. Okay. Let's do this to this. And I think I may go over it still with a doming resin to make it, again, more three-dimensional, more popping. I think that'll be really cool. So, but in the meantime, I have got to start getting ready to go teach a class. So I think that will be it for this video. I'm going to go through and do these same techniques as what I did here onto the knotwork of the greaves. I may not do it on the belt because there are bobbles on the belt too, but it didn't take as long as I thought it would, so we'll see how it goes. But I think that'll be it for this video. So if you guys enjoy my videos and tutorials and would like to support more of my work as well as participate in my bi-monthly fairy house giveaway, please consider becoming a patron. There's a link down in the video description below where you can go and pledge just $1, and $1 puts your name in the hat once for each of our drawings throughout the month. And if you pledge $5, it puts your name in the hat 5 times for each drawing, so that greatly increases your odds of winning. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'd love to hear your ideas or comments or just anything, so leave me a message. There's also links to my website as well as my Facebook down in the video description. So thanks you guys so much. I'm kind of, it's fumes in here. But I hope y'all have an awesome day, and I'll see you guys around. Bye. So I'm actually popping back in for a quick minute before I go and teach my class. I have my Mod Podge here. It's Dimensional Magic, and I'm going to go through and just very carefully put the resin over the surface. And what I'm actually doing is I'm just drawing like a thick line, and then I'm going to take this ball stylus tool and use that to kind of spread it around, making sure that it like stays touching itself, because it's its surface tension that keeps it all domed up and cool looking. But just riding it right out to the edges, because I want it nice and thin, that way it dries quickly and evenly. And man, I think that makes such a difference. It's not translating as well into the camera, but in reality it's making a pretty nice difference. I want to do my best to avoid air bubbles if I can. And to not let any of it come up off of the design. And I don't want to be like heavy-handed with it, but I also don't want to be too skimpy because then it'll just leave my little lines in it. Oh, that looks pretty cool though. Yeah, that's looking good, you guys. Whee. Okay, so now I have, oh gosh, that's so, do you see the difference that makes? Like, it adds such a nice layer of gloss to it. I'm going to leave this somewhere where the cat cannot lay on it, because if I leave it somewhere that she can, she will. And now that's the end of my video, so thank you guys so much for sticking around.